Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to Content is Profit. Today I'm going to answer a question. What is the type of content that you need to create? And today we are faced with a challenge like none other. I mean, on one side is easier than ever to reach your intended audience if you have a business. It's also, we have so many options, right? But at the same time, it can be very challenging deciding what is the type of content that's gonna work. I'm joining today from my home office. You can see all the books and the toys and the collectibles and the things and our awesome Content is Profit legacy sign that we have there. We've been taking a little bit of a break in the studio. We both have been a little under the weather. Fonts is still not in there, but don't worry, interviews are coming back. And, as you know, if you've been following the show, I was in Orlando last week in a conference. If you haven't checked out that episode where we talk about a very awesome framework that can help you move the needle forward in content, go check it out. It's out there on YouTube and all the audio platforms, your favorite audio platforms. But again, after we did that presentation, to be completely honest, during that trip, I was experimenting with new types of content, right? And this is where this question comes through, because we see a lot of people come into the studio that they want to, obviously start a podcast, maybe because they read that it's a great vehicle for growth, maybe because it's a great vehicle to build relationships, maybe it's a great vehicle to generate leads, like all these things, right? That I'm sure you've listened, and if you're following the show, you kind of know the gist, right? But just like podcasting, right? You also have talking head videos or teaching videos or tutorials, or you also have the vertical content, and you also have your reels, your shorts, you have your vlogging style, you have your long essay styles, you have your we can keep going and going with different formats. Just this morning with the team, we were discussing about like these new vlogging styles. It's not your character, but it's like this thing that tracks your head and it turns you into a character that you can design, and different examples of content of that. So there's definitely a lot of styles and things and formats, which, it can be very overwhelming if you're starting to create content, or if you're trying to tackle this as a business, right? That's why, number one, we're big fans of podcasting, is because that's the vehicle that allows us to grab traction in our business and create the relationships that, moved our needle or our business forward. But anyway, so with all that said, I'm like, okay, we've been kind of creating this podcast kind of not only on autopilot, right? Because like the format is very familiar to us. We feel very comfortable in a studio setting. And I want to stretch, my creator muscle a little bit. And that's where I put a challenge on my social media the other day before we went to Orlando. Before the conference, I spent a couple of days with my family in the Disney parks. And I put in a challenge as in, I want to vlog the experience. By the way, my story with vlogs, I have so much footage in my hard drives that I've attempted before, and it hasn't worked out. And I really want to crack it because I really want to document these things. And, we have a couple of projects in the future that might involve that, right? So not my strong suit. I do record. There's some structure in my head that I want to, figure out in the story. And I kind of want to document the experience. And I can talk about it all day on the podcasting environment. But then when it comes to vlogging, my holdup is on the editing side. And I know we could bring an editor. I can bring somebody from the team, which, by the way, for the Bizros vlog, there's something coming. Super exciting. But on this specific case, because it's my family, it's like personal to me, I really want to tackle it. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Also, it will give me a good frame on how to tackle the next things. So I want to share with you kind of like the experience and the lessons, and hopefully you can take this and go ahead and move forward. So recently, obviously, for those who don't know what vlogging is you grab your camera and you kind of document your day. There was the boom on YouTube a few years back where a lot of creators kind of grew their audiences by documenting their days and starting doing like crazier and crazier things. In my specific case, I want to document like very cool experiences with my family, with my kids, with my wife, and kind of share some lessons along the way. It's a little bit of a personal project. So with that in mind, there's some structure that we need to follow and some rules that we need to establish, right? And I didn't know this until I actually started executing. I'm more of the person that, jumps in, starts doing, and then, debrief and has these versions of it, right? Before the trip, because I failed before at completing this, I'm like, okay, what's causing friction in my process? And I identified that one, I didn't have structure, right? I will go to this situation expecting that the situation will give me kind of like the script and what to record. So I didn't have structure. So that what caused that is I would record the entire day. I'll have a ton of footage. Maybe I didn't really know how to connect it. I didn't really had anything to say during the experience because we're doing that. And from there, then there's a ton of footage of very cool things, but no structure. So then that created friction on the production side, and we couldn't do it. So if you remember from the latest episode, we talk about your what to say, right? Number one, that's your message. Then we have your creation, and then you have your production, right? Those are the first three stages. So on the what to say, I didn't really have a script. I'm like, I'm just going to go and kind of film the experience and see what comes up. Then on the creation process, we're in there with our cameras, maybe cameras or phones or different devices, right? And we're documenting the experience, but we couldn't maybe really enjoy the experience because we're trying to figure out like what angle do I shoot these, or like there's nothing structure, and it was a little bit of a chaos, right? And then on the post-production side, on the production side, when we're time to edit, then we have all these hours and hours of footage, and then to organize it is just like really challenging. So those were my friction points that I identified before went into this new thing. So with that said, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Disney. I want to document this, maybe as a lesson. So what's the thing? What's the message, right? And some ideas came through, as in like, okay, my point of view as a dad with a family with 2 kids, and what happens, and is this really the happiest place on earth, right? What are we doing? And then I decided to do something interesting. I decided to just put it out on social media for the people that have been following us. As a question, be like, hey, I want to stretch my muscle as a creator. I want to do this. And I got some very interesting answers. And then from those answers and ideas, I decided to grab one. So shout out to Think Media. There's a video that they have of like the new age of vlogging. And I started, watching and educating myself in some of them. And what they're saying is there's a new, I guess, tendency on the vlogging side, and it's just like micro experiences. So imagine you have activities throughout the day, and then you have 5 things that you do that day. So instead of documenting all 5 things and have like a general vlog, you document one of those things. So the example that they have in one of those videos is this guy that goes to Costco and he's buying meat. So he's documenting his experiences of buying that meat, and then you can dive deep into that specific experience. So I really wanted to do something like that based on the ideas. But then I got a ton of awesome questions that people wanted to answer, right? Like, is it worth going to Disney with 2 little kids? If you like roller coasters, is it worth doing it? What is the best place to nap at Disney? So I'm like, okay, here is my theme, my message is I'm going to answer these questions. So again, stage number 1, your message, like, what is this? Now we move into the creation phase, right? It's like, okay, let me think through how we're going to create this. And this comes, things in this category are, what equipment am I taking, if I have any, right? And then where am I creating the stuff? And then how am I actually creating? So obviously, we're being very blessed that we have a ton of equipment. So deciding, and I also love to shoot with a ton of stuff. So I was like, okay, should I take my DSLR camera, which is, where I'm recording right now? Or should I take my GoPro? Or should I take the gimbal? Like, what do I do? So obviously a DSLR camera, super awesome quality, but maybe a little bit big for the park, right? I wanted something mobile, something to do that. The GoPro in the past is good for certain shots or action shots, like it's meant to be, but maybe for vlogging it's not too good because it overheats. So I ended up using my phone with a Blackmagic camera application, which I highly, highly, highly recommend. So if you have any iPhone, the cameras on those things are incredible. And with a Blackmagic application, which you can see on the screen right now, I think, it's out of focus, but here, you're going to have a ton of options that you can use and change lenses and super high quality things, and it's completely free. So I highly recommend you installing. By the way, fun fact, I was watching the documentary Drive to Survive on Netflix, which are F1 and different things, and they gave each driver one phone with the Blackmagic app to record, and the quality is incredible. You record 4K. So the only thing is I just plugged in a little USB memory card over here, and I just use my phone. It's in my pocket. It's ready if I wanted to like document different things. And it was like really, really exciting. So that's what I decided to do on the creation side. So right now, where are we at the process? The process is I recorded some footage based on those questions that I got. And then retroactively, I went to Fiverr and I hired a script writer based on the things that I already shot to give it a little bit of structure. And now we're in the phase of editing that video. Now, why do I share this story and kind of how do I break down, the phases of the creation process? And obviously, you know that we have monetization and kind of the management of all this, and that comes later. But right now, the goal is to get this video out. One, as a passion project, I really want to stretch my muscle as a creator. I want to see what it takes. I want to see what it takes to me to do something like this, if I enjoy doing it or if I don't enjoy doing it, to know kind of who to hire to continue this process. And I think I'm very excited of what's coming up. So a lot of people, like I said, comes to our studio trying new types of content. And I encourage you to go and try it out under this specific frame, right? If you want to learn more, you can go to businesscreator.club. We're happy to hop on a Q&A question session in there or send us a message on social media. We're happy to help. But I encourage you, if you're struggling with the creation process, start doing, like maybe grab a little bit of a passion project. Start, maybe record an interview. Maybe you don't have the name of the podcast yet, but do the first version of it because you're going to identify what you like and what you don't like, and you can start improving on that process. So next step for me is the production, which now I have the script, which is super exciting. Now I have my footage that is very structured, and I follow some rules that we can go into that later. And I just use my phone. And now what I'm going to do is put the pieces together. I'm going to record some dialogue based on that script that I have, and I'm going to put the footage together for the first Mas Life vlog. So hopefully this experience helped you get some enlightenment in like trying new things and trying new types of content, whether that's vertical, a vlog, a podcast, and stretch your creation muscle. It's so important because today, if you have a business, you don't have to be an influencer, but if you have a business, you have to be present online, and we cannot go in there blind hiring anybody to do that. You need to be your own creator, and you need to know kind of like what to expect. Just yesterday, we were at a company that has raised millions of dollars for like their products, and they haven't been able to find a social media agency or a social media person to kind of improve on the processes. And the CEO took time of his busy day to kind of learn how to run these YouTube ads. And now they have a baseline. They understand how the system works, and now they're ready to start hiring and interviewing other people. So I highly encourage you guys to try these out, dive deep in the creation process, structure it, right? Like I said, what is your message? What are we trying to say? What is the one idea that we're following in whatever type of content there is? How are we helping you as a creator, your audience, by removing the friction, right? What are the things that cause friction? Remove them from the process so you can create, and then establish a creation process. Is it your phone? Is it equipment? No equipment, right? Scripted, no scripted. And then on the post-production process, it's going to become a lot easier. So hopefully that experience helps you move the needle forward. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Shout out to the 600 new subscribers that have been coming into our world, which is super exciting now that YouTube is grabbing some traction. And I can't forget about you, our awesome and loyal listeners. I think we're about to hit 250,000 downloads on the audio platform. So super proud of that. Thank you so much for your continued support and the listening to our stories and interviews. So hopefully we'll be back next week with a couple other interviews. Can't wait to share that with you. And in the meantime, thank you so much, and see you later. Take care. Bye.